Hi, this is the Optimist Engineer. Today, wearing many hats, the startup engineer.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's try that by saying that taking notes helps a lot. I mean, it may seem like something really obvious, but it is something crucial. You have everything like noted, your own list of priorities in terms of, I mean, one thing is the company's priority, that is super cool, and you have to pay attention to that as well. But another one is your individual, your personal list of priorities based on your, immediate, let's say, things to tackle, right?
Albert, nice to see you again, man. How are you?
Fine. I'm fine, man. How are you? It's been a while since the last talk we have
It's
about
been
that.
a while, actually. Actually, you are starting the second season of the podcast of the Optimist Engineer. What do you think about this? You started the
Really?
first one, by the way, and now you are kicking out the second one.
Really? What an honor. I mean, I feel
Yes.
I feel really, really honored to be here again, kicking off the season. So yeah, it's always a good time that we have it here. So yeah, I'm ready for it.
I was recapping these days about okay how to kickstart the new season and so on and so forth. And I was listening again the podcast that we recorded past week, well, no, past week, past season, and
Yeah.
I saw, oh, Alberto Carrasco, first one. So why not starting from there in the second season?
He has to come back, right?
Exactly, exactly. So let's do this. How are you? How was your day?
Well, it's good, actually good. I think I just finished off my day. I call it a day just some minutes ago that I contacted you in case you wanted to start before the time we had scheduled already. So yeah, well, it's one more day at the office, as we usually say. Just doing some coding right before leaving the well, yeah, I was going to say job, but actually I'm at home. As you know, I home work. So yes, lastly I was just trying to fix some issue with the pipeline. The usual stuff. What can I tell you? Do will be more than usual to it. So yeah.
We'll see that because one of the things that I want to talk with you is about how is your life? How is your life since you moved to this new company? How long since you moved to this new company?
I think actually is this October we are about to be in November. I think this October was like 2 years. Uh,
Hmm.
it's been 2 years since I joined the company. Woof, time really flies, I have to say, because so many things happen every day that, and especially in this kind of, well, you probably know as well, in this kind of companies, with a kind of a startup culture, there are a lot of things happening on a daily basis. The pace is
Hmm.
quite fast, quite hectic, let's say, very busy days with a lot of things going on and try to juggle everything at the same time the best you can. And yeah, when you are really, really into that, when you are really wired to your daily stuff, time goes by so, really, really, really fast. So, but
Because
at the same time, you have fun, and then at the same time, things go really, really fast. I guess, as I always say, when things go fast, it's probably a sign that you're having fun doing what you are doing. So, yeah.
indeed. Because let's put some context for the people on the audience. Alberto here, he moved 2 years ago from a medium company, let's say, from Nextin, kind of between 800 1,000 people, and strong engineering team. I don't remember the numbers now, but quite big as well. And he decided to move to a small company, to a startup. And yeah, why I invite you to listen the previous podcast. Is I will put the link in the notes. And now Albert is doing, yeah, what is the name of this podcast? Wearing many hats. I'm calling this the startup engineering. You, for me, are the startup engineering. So what do you do in your daily days, in your normal day?
Well, first of all, when I joined the company, was supposed to be joining the company in a similar position. I mean, my experience is mostly related to software development, mostly on the backend side. And yeah, I think all my life I hold the same position when working on professionally in this industry, which is pretty much the software engineer. Yeah, period. But yeah, in this case of situation, when you join a company like the with a kind of a startup culture, with very few people, with a lot of things still to do. Well, it's kind of your job description can get a bit blurry. You should
Why?
expect that because of course you're gonna be doing most of the time. Let's say you're going to be dedicated to your expected duties, as in my case, pretty much coding, designing applications, and everything related to every single phase of the software development process. But at the same time, you are expected to take cover if you can on one of the or many of the gaps that the company has right from the beginning. As everybody can expect, a startup company usually is born with just a couple of people that have a dream or have something between hands, that they want to develop and grow into a mature product that has some chances in the market. And because of that, you have a lot of, as I mentioned, there's a lot of gaps, a lot of things that needs to be, let's say, filled on a daily basis, but you don't have the resources as a larger company might have. So yeah, it's kind of yeah, you're gonna do what you're gonna do, what you are expected to do as a software developer, let's say, or engineer. But at the same time, you feel, especially you have some experience, and the company as well expects that the more senior staff step up and take over some additional responsibility if they have the knowledge, or at least they propose solution for things that we don't have the resources to jump into right from the beginning.
But Albert, to have a little bit more vision, how many people are you in the team, the whole team or the whole company?
Let's say we are now between 10 or 20.
And you are a front-end developer, back-end developer, you have SRE. What do you have? What roles are in the company?
Well, if in terms of software development, we have that's similar to the bigger companies, but the difference is we have less people. I mean, we have people dedicated to for the development, people dedicated to backend development, people dedicated to let's say, for instance, specific areas such as data scientists and things like that. But well, there are others that are definitely missing, or we don't have specific people to dedicate to those. We can talk about, I don't know, quality or operations or product or some other areas that we don't have the specific people for that, and maybe some other people that are experts on other areas step up and take over some or part of that responsibility as well, because in kind of a for strategy, let's say.
And, but okay, so but in your team, how many people is in your team today?
I think my team actually are like 4 people.
4 people, okay.
So mostly dedicated to development tasks. So we don't have like let's say product dedicated people or QA dedicated people specifically, but we are mostly focused on the development of the product, let's say, on the front end side, on the back end side, and things like that. And there are still some, we talk about operations, as I mentioned before, operations or quality or things like that, that you may expect in a more mature company to have a dedicated team. We don't have that right at the moment.
So
We try to do
basically,
our best. Yeah.
basically 4 people maintaining the whole product in the company
Yeah.
that you are working on, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that's one of the main challenges, in my opinion. And as far as I know, because Alberto and I we talk several times, We used to meet in Madrid to have some beers, and he tell me from time to time some experiences. So correct me if I'm wrong, Albert, but you are one of the senior or the senior person in this team. And so in this case, tell me, what do you do? I mean, you tomorrow, you start at, let's say, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. What is your day? What do? You open the Outlook or you just jump into the code? What do you do?
No, well, we have one of the things that I try to, let's say, put in place right from the beginning is that things that, for instance, more junior staff don't have in mind, maybe because they don't have the experience or they don't haven't been exposed to that kind of environments, is to put in place an agile, let's say, framework right in place. Let's say in our case, it's probably usually we use a Scrum. So we run all the whole process of, having dailies, doing demos at the end of the sprints, 2 week sprints, retrospectives, plannings, all the whole thing. And from there, well, we try to organize the way we can. I mean, when you have that kind of framework in place, you probably have, let's say, a board. You have, of course, your issues, your stories, user stories that you implement on your own. I mean, you can kind of do it on your own in my case, or distribute to some persons or some people that can do it on their own. So yeah, in a nutshell, I mean, let's say the dynamic wouldn't be so different to a larger company, but the main difference is the kind of tasks that you have to take over on a daily basis, or how to distribute those kind of responsibilities along the team. That's it.
But I mean, do you have time, for example, for mentoring? Do you have time? Because as far as I know, you are coding, you are also doing hiring. Uh, I can imagine mentoring if you have time for more junior people. As far as I know, you do many things. How do you manage all those challenges, all that context switching?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's, let's try that by saying that taking notes helps a lot. I mean, it may seem like something really obvious, but it is something crucial to have everything like noted, your own list of priorities in terms of, I mean, one thing is the company's priorities, that's super cool, and you have to pay attention to that as well. But another one is your individual, your personal list of priorities based on your, immediate, let's say, things to tackle, right? There are other things that probably when we talk about mentoring, which is extremely important, especially when we talk or you have into the team more junior teammates. The mentoring, you don't have like, I mean, I don't have time, for instance, to do like specific sections for one-to-one sessions for specific people and things like that. But you try to do the mentoring, let's say, on the go. I mean, every time I point out something new or something important for the team, or how a meeting should be driven or handled or facilitated. I say, well, this is the way perhaps I'm used to do. I think that this works in the past, and have this in mind because maybe some days you will have to take over. It's a good thing that you learn on your own, and
Mhm.
you see and pay attention how things are done. I mean, you try to set an example on a daily basis, not by providing particular session because that is super time consuming and we cannot do that. But every time you have some kind of interaction on let's say one of the ceremonies of the Scrum framework, or code review, or sprint planning, or I don't know, user story writing, things like that. You try to set an example in a way and
Mhm.
say, well, guys, I'm done this thing at this time, but in the future, please pay attention, but because somebody else will have to step up, as I did in the past, and take
Mhm.
over some particular responsibility, because we need to, of course, to balance and properly distribute responsibilities.
And that's the reality, right? It's the real life, because when we read books and when we see these Google-alike companies in Silicon Valley, yes, small startups with senior people and also junior people, and the mentoring and everything flows and everything goes wow, super amazing. The reality maybe is not like that, right? From our experience, it's like even in big companies, you need a culture of mentoring. But in small companies like yours, taking the time for dedicated mentoring and say, hey, let's put together. I will show you how to do this, how to separate responsibilities in a code base, how to architecture this, and so on and so forth. I see that really, really difficult. And in my opinion, this is one of the challenges for junior profiles, because it's very easy to sell when you are, in the college. Now, when I finish my college degree, I will jump into a startup, or I will create my own startup, and I will make a lot of money because everything flows and so on and so forth. But for junior profiles, I would say it's something that they have to take into account, that most likely the senior profiles will not have enough time for you. So, as you said, you will put here and there some tips, some learnings on the fly, and the junior profiles will have the possibility to take it on the fly and learn as you go, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, setting an example by the more senior staff is super important, but at the same time, in relation with for that to work inside the company and to have the knowledge spreading and the whole responsibility distribution happening, you need the proper people. That's the most important stuff. And it's not about when we talk about the senior or junior. I'm not especially concerned when hiring people if they have much more experience. Experience is important, of course, but the main thing in relation with this, for instance, is some determined mindset, as you can expect, people being very proactive. Because if you don't have people being very proactive, this model that we are talking about, responsibility distribution, uh, mentoring on the go, let's say, people absorbing, picking the knowledge on the go, as paying attention to how things are done on a daily basis. That's only going to happen if people are really committed and people are proactive. We do have people that are more interested just in I'm just going to make it to the end of the day, and that's it. I'm not interested in taking over any other stuff, or if the company goes well or goes bad. That's probably not a good sign for somebody jumping into a company with this kind of culture, no, the startup culture. So I would say proactivity in relation with this mentoring concept idea that we are talking about right now is super important, because if people is not passionate about it, if people don't want to do it, if people is not really motivated to take over and and look to the more senior staff and say, well, I see that I see him or see her doing that, and I'm probably supposed to be doing that in some time from now. As you probably, as you learn from your parents, it is the same in a work environment. You start as a knowing less than your parents, but they expect to teach you all they can, and they try to set the most important examples for you to be able to learn and to grow into a more efficient person, more efficient part of the company in this case, right?
Yeah, that's very challenging. That's very challenging. I was mentioning before, even in big companies or medium companies, that's also expected from the software engineers, that you look at and you look for opportunities, new ways to improve or whatever. Not only sitting down and waiting for your engineer manager to tell you, now you will learn this, now you will learn that. That's not the real life, actually. At least the life that we are used to. But in this kind of environment, Albert, in which I can imagine a startup like this, everything changes very, very often, and priorities, I can imagine as well. How do you manage these changes of priorities? How you choose this is more important to do now, and this is more important to do later? What is that trade-off?
Well, of course, in a company, in a smaller company, in a startup company where you are just counting two, three people in total, or teams of 4 or 5 people, and that's it, and no more other teams in the inside the company. You can expect, of course, not much overhead, not much, let's say, hierarchy or management in the middle, so to reach your priorities on a daily basis. What I mean with this is that you are very often, talking perhaps with the CEO or the co-founders about, the real priorities of the company, or about what is most important, or what is coming up next for the company, or what's the things that we should put more attention into in the next days or next weeks. And yeah, you can expect that to have that kind of meetings on a weekly basis. So that's very normal. You don't have to, let's say, try to handle situations until the next planning is coming, or wait until the product side of the company have a meeting with some other person, and some other person has a meeting with some other persons, and things like that. Kind of like you have some more direct contact with the people that are really having all the input from the, let's say, the real world, from the customers, and setting up or trying to understand what are the real priorities of the company in collaboration with you, because in the end you are going to have as well a word on that as part of the company, because as you can imagine, when you are 3, 4, 5 people company, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to have probably a word on quite important decisions as well. So yeah, that's kind of I would say that probably kind of the main way you handle priorities is communication is quite direct, while often handled between you and the C-level, or the people that is making the real decision of the company. So that's probably what leads the real priorities on a daily basis, even for the development teams, right?
And the CEO listens?
Yeah. I definitely he has to. It's what I say. I mean, when you have so few people, first of all, I think you have to make sure that you hire the proper people. So even if you have just 5 people on the company, you better be sure that you have probably hired the people that you wanted, or the people that you feel are more suitable for the position, for the challenge of being in a startup company, things like that. So yeah, they have to trust, because it's what they have. The co-founders and CEO can have a vision at the beginning, but if they want to grow or try to get to the first step of the company, having a product that is competitive, or getting the necessary funds to keep the company afloat, they really have to trust. So yeah, they usually hear there's a mutual relation of trust between the C-level and rest of the employees, and the other way around. So I think that's the way it has to work, like everyone being one, because there's no other way for this to succeed, I think. Yeah.
You actually, talking about succeed, you mentioned a couple of times that you are using a Scrum. I was wondering, because actually it was quite a surprise to me that you are using a Scrum in a so small team, or so small company actually. Does it make sense to use a Scrum? Does it make sense to use agile methodologies? Because, for example, from my experience, when you are a small team, usually you find a way to deliver your product to production fast, like having a continuous delivery, continuous integration, continuous delivery. And at that stage, in my vision, Scrum or Agile methodology doesn't make much more sense to me. Actually, it's more like something like bureaucracy, let's call it like that. So you really use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, at the end of the,
Does
at
it
the
work
end,
for you?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, I would say, as I always say, is my recommendation in relation is about using agile or not, whatever your company is whatever works for you. I mean, you don't have to use agile if it doesn't work for you. I mean, perhaps some people are or smaller teams or some particular companies find that they are not productive without using agile or using something similar. But I mean, you don't have to use agile as we always say by the book. You can adapt agile, pick whatever you can, or pick whatever you think is going to be more useful for you in your case. If you think about it, I mean, we talk about user stories. You have to have user stories no matter what you do. For instance, so you have to have a board. Daily meetings are supposed to be, if you don't have daily meetings, everything is just going without any kind of sync in your everyday life. So it's just 10 minutes. It's not like a super waste of time. Retrospect is super important, no matter for me, for instance, no matter the size of your company, your team, but if you don't keep track of how your people is feeling or how your process is going, how space for people to express the way the things are being doing, because I agree with you. Sometimes is everything may seem, just may, that is about going fast in the development, but there are other things that you cannot just simply leave aside or don't give the proper importance, and having retrospective or having the proper plannings to especially tackle early issues that you may foresee in the future when developing, super important, as well as with the demos. I mean, and demos, we even do demos when we don't have to do a demo to the customer themselves. I mean, even internally we do demos just to check on what people is doing. If because we need feedback, without feedback, you don't have anything. So it's super important to have all the. We feel that Agile framework in this case fits our needs and helps us a lot on a daily basis, and does not add any kind of overhead. I think on the contrary, it helps us to grow faster without losing let's say, the control over the whole process.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. Albert, I know you from a long time, and you were speaking. I was wondering, you have a lot of experience. I saw you in production incidents. I saw you teaching people. Maybe you remember you and I working on that thing in Python with the headers of a zip file. That's another story for the future. Uh, what what brings you? What are the lessons learned that you are having? I don't know if you can summarize one or two of the lesson learned, because actually nowadays you are acting like a CTO, as far as you told me several times, right?
Well, honestly, I never been. Probably is one of that situation that you probably are. Yeah, as you mentioned, perhaps I'm doing some kind of
Well,
or
for what you told
impersonating.
me, for what you told me, for real, you are doing CTO stuff.
It could be without knowing, because I don't know what a real CTO does on a daily basis. I've never been into his or her skin of somebody, dedicated to that kind of role. But yeah, it's probably the case. I mean, I have to handle a lot of stuff, because mostly because what I said before, because it's not only about what you say and what you were hired for to do in the first place, but also about being proactive. And when you are proactive and you see so many gaps in the company that you can maybe give a hand on. I mean, if you are proactive, if you are passionate about what you do, you're gonna step up and say, "Well, guys, what if we do this and that?" Because I'm not an expert on this, but I saw people that is expert on this doing this that way. So perhaps it's good to take this way on this or this direction if you trust me, because I seen this in the past and I seen this work in this way. So maybe this is a good decision for us to take. And yeah, because of that, you end up, making decisions on quality or on operations or on product roadmap, on, every single aspect of the company that is related to the software development process. And it's a company based on the
Mhm.
software development. So as you can imagine, everything is about some topic that has to do with the coding, with the product part.
And everything is about impact as well. I can imagine every single decision that you make it has a huge impact. Let's imagine that, I don't know, for any reason you decide to use a specific library for rendering I don't know, PDFs or rendering images or rendering whatever you are rendering. And I don't know. Suddenly, appears this meme that your whole product is being supported by this small piece that is maintained from somebody in a small village in the north of Spain. So every single decision that you make has a huge impact in the whole product. How how do you support that pressure?
I was exactly thinking about the same. I was going to talk about the pressure when you were just raising this question. I think it's kind of you have kind of mixed feelings, not entirely bad, by the way, but the good ones, of course, is all the challenge, the technical challenge that you face on a daily basis are all. I mean, to me, being able to contribute in such a wide range of different areas. Even I didn't have the experience before, but before I have because I have experience of working around them, let's say, on the surroundings of them, I can give some point of view or at least some guidance when there is no other, like it is the case in some cases. But also, on the other hand, as well, you can feel in a way, the responsibility and the pressure because you know that you're probably not an expert on everything, not at all. That's the truth. And you have to make decisions because maybe you are the most sometimes, maybe you, sometimes maybe other inside the team, but sometimes you are the one that take the lead and make some decisions that are really, really important and critical to the company. And you, yeah, of course, you can feel the pressure sometimes and question yourself and wonder, am I doing the right decision here? If it's going to work it out at the end. And well, I think if you are passionate about what you do, I mean, if you like what you do, and after so much time, doing the same, probably you have built some kind of confidence. When I say confidence and not arrogance. It's a different thing. Confidence is that you say, well, I've seen this happening many times before. I think that this is going to work out in the end. So don't worry about it. You're probably doing well in this case. Your chain of thoughts is correct. So let's trust and go for it as you did in the past. So it's a mix. It's a mix of things. I mean, a mix of feelings. You have the joy of coding as usual. You can feel the pressure of making some important decisions that this is likely to make. But at the same time, you say, "Ooh, this is quite important because this might make involved, to maybe to win this contract or maybe to take the product to the next level or things like that. But yeah, I think as I mentioned before, we pointed out, for instance, the proactivity as a very good soft skill to have or part of the mindset for people working on a startup companies. Another one has to be for sure the confidence. I mean, you have to be determined. You have to be confident that you know, even if you're going to have to make important decisions, you have to trust your instincts. And of course, you have to be well equipped. Your knowledge needs to be very, very sharp at every moment. If you need to learn something new, if you need to get the best information about anything, of course, you always are expected to be stepping up on your profile, to technical profile if you need to. But yeah, it's a very interesting mindset, a mix of things that you have to have always in mind when you have to or you expect to work in a very small company or a company that is working on startup mode? Yeah.
Albert, you were mentioning before challenges, talking to the CEO. Tell me the truth. Are you saying yes to everything? I mean, you were mentioning as well the responsibilities, the ownership. You have to build the product with only three, four software engineers. And the CEO, because he's a CEO, comes with a brilliant idea. Guys, we will change the world with this amazing idea that I can. Albert, take it and implement it. Is something like that or what?
Yeah, sometimes actually this, I mean, it happens because sometimes, things may have, as my own case, I mean, I might not be a product expert, but perhaps the people from the C-levels or co-founders are not either. So that may happen as well. And maybe they may say, well, we can do this, or the customer were really interested in exploring this idea. But in the end, if you have some more deep knowledge, technical knowledge in relation with some particular area, or you have seen that something related to that kind of idea before, and you know that perhaps it's not the best option, or maybe it's going to take uh, much more than expected, or it's going to be a problem for the company in terms of resources because, or what about, it's not going to set customer expectations with, the terms agreed, things like that. Yeah, sometimes you are forced to say, even if you don't like it, you have to say no to things. I mean, it's like,
But
to
it's
me,
difficult because I mean you are in a startup. You have to
yeah.
evolve very fast and you have to have as much impact as possible. How do you tell the CEO, no, this is not possible or this is not the right way?
Well, first of all, you have to be, as I said before, you have to be confident. You have to trust your instinct in this way. And of course, you have to build your argument for it to be very strong if you are really sure about it. I mean, it's not about you having the right, you're being right, or having I am right, or my reasons are the best ones. But it's about the company. You think about the company. I think I'm not advising this or saying not to this because I want to, or because I'm just a little child that want to, rebel against the mom or dad, but because you think that is the best for the company. I mean, this could be a serious problem, and as every single uh, decision you make, or every single idea you get consulted about may be very critical and may have a huge impact on the company. You have to be, first of all, honest to yourself, but especially honest to the company. So the thing, answering your question is, as I was starting before, is you have to build your case. I mean, gather all the necessary documentation, all the, let's say, the proof that you can find, articulate in a way your experience in that field as you had in the past, even if necessary to do some very, very brief couple of slides of presentations. That may work as well. But as I mentioned, you have to be pretty much build your case, not to convince because it's me against you, because we are all the same team. We are on the same boat, let's say. But I understand that, of course, people that don't have all the information need to understand why I'm saying no as well as you were saying yes to something. So
And
you don't have to
sometimes
be afraid of that, and just do whatever you have to do.
it's I think it's very very good, very wise to provide a reality check to the CEO because, at least from my experience, the CEOs come, yeah, their job is to think and to drive the company and to, yeah, change the world, as I mentioned before. But sometimes somebody has to tell, hey, no, no, and no. Why? Because this, and that. And maybe you are able to convince, and maybe you're not. At the end of the day, the CEO will take the call and say, okay, I'm convinced I will not, let's not make it, or let's adapt it, or let's make an experiment, a proof of value, or whatever. Or maybe, yeah, this CEO has a hunch and say, yep, I believe it's gonna happen. So Albert, you have to make it happen anyway. I can imagine that's a difficult call. I don't want to be on your skin when that happens. And also with all these changes, Albert, um, tell me please that you are able to put in place good software engineering practices, even though you have to go full speed all the time. Because I know that you love solid principles and all this stuff. Tell me that you are able to do it. Please tell me.
Yes, as I mentioned before, yes, I think we can leverage some benefits from putting in place IR frameworks or things like that. You have to, let's say, uh, implement some or point at least to the most important guidelines for the good, software development practices, code review practices, code writing practices, and things like that. And that's just another, as I mentioned before, is another gap that we are as a company have to fill because we don't have like a specific, let's say, QA department. So that's something that, of course, I can and I have pointed out in the since I am here as well. All the good practices that you can incorporate to your process, or the quality assurance. I think that you will have to be in place for a proper process, software development process. We talk about pipelines. We talk about whatever you can think of, metrics, static analyzers, things like that, whatever can help you. And yeah, that's part of the our process as any other thing. I mean, it's not just about, as I mentioned before, it's not about only coding, as somebody may mention, because of course coding is important and going fast is important, but if you go without control and with a lack of sanity in your process, that's not gonna go it's gonna go nowhere. So yeah, it's part of it's as important as any other aspect of the company. The happiness of people, the uh, the usefulness of the code, the good product that you are able to do. In the end, the success of the company.
That's good stuff, Albert. That's good stuff. And I'm very happy to hear that even in a company like that, when you have to go very fast and deliver value fast again, the good principles are coming along. So we are ending this new episode, Albert. It has been a great pleasure again to have you here. Maybe in the future we can collaborate again. I have a couple of ideas to provide to the people that is listening and now watching, because in this second season, all the podcasts will be on video as well. So maybe we can collaborate, transmitting to the people good practices with Python, for example, that you are a huge fan, trying to transmit good practices in software engineer through Python, or any other thing. But before leaving, Albert, like I always ask, if you can share like 1, 2, 3 tips with the audience that could be helpful for them.
Well, that's a it's a very wide question, but maybe since we are talking about uh, startups, or maybe that's kind of the main topic on the table for this talk. Well, if we talk about, for instance, people thinking about startup, if it's a good fit for them or not. I mean, tech people or people that are working in the tech industry that are maybe thinking of switching roles or change the company or things like that. Well, I think it's kind of, as you said before, it's kind of a reality check. What I would advise. I mean, it's not. I would recommend to people that think twice about or inform, get very well informed about what working on a startup means, because it's not, as I wouldn't advise somebody to, study computer science just because they saw the Matrix movie. I wouldn't advise anybody to join a startup company because they saw the social network movie. So it's exactly the same. I mean, it's like there are things that are super cool, of course, but you have to. It's a very demanding situation, a very demanding role. I'm not meaning about I don't mean about doing extra hours or long hours or things like that. By the time you're gonna be working, you're gonna be busy, with no, with a lot of stuff to, as I mentioned, to be completed, with a lot of gaps that are still they are left behind temporarily, but you have it there and you are supposed to be filling. So I would recommend to people to be passionate enough and you know don't be not being afraid of taking challenges and being very proactive, because this is not there are people that simply are more comfortable in roles that or companies that you simply go, you simply sit down and you do your time and that's it. I mean, of course you have a responsibility, but it's different. You have a very simple responsibility already determined for you right from the beginning. But in a startup, it's not that way. I mean, it's more there is more uncertainty in a whole, in everything, not only in the future of the company, but also in the type of the things that you are going to do. As I mentioned, your job description is kind of blurry in a way. You're going to do what you're going to be doing or you are expected to be doing. But also, if you are proactive enough, and that's a good thing to do, to be if you want to join a startup company, you're going to be able to contribute to a wide a wide number of areas inside the company, and that requires that is super fun, but requires responsibility. It's demanding, and you have to be ready for the challenge. So yeah, it's not just about having fun, but it's about really living the pleasure of the profession in this case, of coding, of software engineering, of bringing into life a whole new project.
Cool. Cool. Albert, thank you very much. Really, I really enjoyed this conversation. Once again, many insights for the people that are listening. I will put some important sentences in the post as well. Thank you very much. So, Alberto Carrasco Montenegro, Senior Software Engineer at The Code Lives. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Marcos. Anytime you need anything, just give me a shout. I'll be here.
Thank you, mate. Ciao.
See you.